Olympics are going, the trade deadline is looming. Looks like the Yankees are getting Joey Gallo, maybe Max Scherzer's on the move. This is episode 154 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy. We're going to give you out all of our picks for the NBA draft, the MLB, the Olympics, and more. But let's talk about how we did last episode, Brett. We have a lot of open bets with my Olympics gold parlay from 2 episodes still, and the golf has now started. We're watching it right now. We got Sepp Straka on top as we are watching round 1. I got 3 plays out right now. We'll see how they go. How about you, though? I mean, I went 2-0, won my pick of the pod. My MLB's looking pretty good so far right now.
All right, Higgins. Yeah, your MLB's been on fire. Meanwhile, no one look at my MLB. Shade your eyes. Hide the children. Save the family, Higgins. Don't let them look. It is awful, but we'll be okay. We'll bounce back. We've got a big NBA draft coming up Thursday, Higgins. I'm excited for it. I've seen some good line movement in my favor. We'll get to that in a little bit. No need to waste our time on it here. But we can hop into our Beginner's Boulevard if you're ready, Higgins.
Absolutely. Our Beginners Boulevard is talking about the novelty bets, and these are basically your prop or special bets that aren't the standard money line spread and total bets that you will see, like your over under spread and money line that are sitting out there with most games. These are the intricate special prop futures. All these types of are novelty bets, right, Brett?
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard this term before, Higgins, so this was new to me. I am the beginner on Beginner's Boulevard here, and now I know about the term novelty bet. So when you're doing something fun with a player prop or a team prop, I might be like, hey, Higgins, nice novelty bet there, bud.
Absolutely. It sounds fancy. Maybe it's a British term. I'm not too sure, but it sounds a little fancy, a little more proper, right?
Yeah, definitely a little more proper.
Let's jump into our NBA. We got the NBA draft coming up on Thursday, Brett, and you've been looking forward to this for a while. Found some value early on. Let's take a look at it now.
Yeah, Higgins, I gave out Josh Giddey on my day job at plus 156 to go in the top 10 last Tuesday, Higgins. Now on draft day, he is minus 260 to go in the top 10. A big trade over the week, sending Jonas Valanciunas to the New Orleans Pelicans for Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe and the number 10 overall pick may have helped propel Giddey into that top 10. It's rumored that the Memphis Grizzlies really like Josh Giddey, so maybe that helps. But Higgins, I had him going a little bit higher than 10 anyway. I have him circled more in the 6, 7, 8 range. So, like, good line movement. Very excited about that. A guy I said might slip, Higgins, Davion Mitchell. I picked him over 8.5. He's now listed at 12.5, minus 120 on the over. Jonathan Kuminga was a pick I gave out last episode as well, under 7.5. Gave it out at minus 108. Higgins, it's now minus 148 on the under to Jonathan Kuminga, but it hasn't been all roses, Higgins. I bet under 8.5 on Keon Johnson at plus 164. Now over under 15.5. Heavy favorite on the under minus 164, under 15.5. Again, I have it over 8.5, or excuse me, under 8.5 plus 164. So I guess you could say in some sense I got some value if I think he's going in that top 8 still, but it does not seem like America agrees with me, Higgins. And my last one before you respond, Cam Thomas, I gave it out at 24.5 minus 124. Now, slight favorite on the under minus 21.5.
Hey, that is 4 out of 5 of your picks that have received positive value since you have placed them. They're sitting pretty good compared to where the rest of the sports books are looking at them now. Even the Keon Johnson one, though, if it hits, if the under 8.5 hits, that's a much better payout than even if you bet the under 15.5 right now. The under 15.5 may be the smarter pick, but you'll be the one getting the better payout because you're risking a little bit more here. And 4 out of 5, some spectacular value, Brett. And I've been looking at the NBA draft since we've talked about it more. I've been looking more and more into it, looking back at the college basketball scene and stuff like that. And I'm actually going to fade the public a little bit here, Brett. I'm going to place a half unit bet on Jalen Green to be the number one pick. Now, everyone seems to think it's going to be Cade Cunningham, but Jalen Green was ranked above Cade Cunningham when they were coming out of high school. Jalen Green just did not go to college. He ended up playing in the G League instead, averaged just under 18 points per game. And you know what? Maybe the fact that Cade Cunningham's been the consensus number one since December has people overlooking stuff a little bit. So if there's value anywhere, I think Jalen Green's the other guy that might get drafted number one. So I'm going to be placing a $5 bet there at plus 1,600 value that I found.
Well, I'm not gonna let you place that bet, Higgins, but I will let you place it with me at I'll give you mm, I'll give you plus 1,800, Higgins. Plus
Hmm.
1,800, same bet. Leave you sports book. You don't have to go through the Oregon. We don't pay taxes here. Just friends on whatever Venmo.
All right, yeah, I'll go with you then. I mean, obviously, better odds sounds fantastic to me. I'll be placing that with the sports book of Levy.
The sports book of Levy, one of the best sports books, I think.
Sounds fantastic. That draft's happening on Thursday evening, as I said. Brett mentioned it. There was a trade between the Pelicans and the Grizzlies that moved around that number 10 pick. Who's to say we don't see plenty of more action on Thursday? My bet is that we will. Who's who knows how many trades we see though? It should be an action-packed evening.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be people will be watching to see what's going to happen with Ben Simmons, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, all potentially moved within the next 24 hours, all potentially staying within the next 24 hours. So it should be an exciting night in the NBA, Higgins.
It certainly will be. Let's jump into the Olympics, though, which has also been plenty exciting if you're paying attention to it. The United States has pulled ahead in the total medal count. They're sitting in second in the gold medal count, though, if that's what you're playing. The over under at most sports books for that was at 44 and a half. The United States has 12 gold medals right now, so we'll see how that plays out. I stayed away from that line. The lines that I took a parlay at plus 215 that was the men's basketball winning gold, the women's basketball winning gold, and the women's soccer winning gold. Now it'll be interesting. Women's soccer is 1-1-1. They have one win, one loss, and one tie. They are now playing the Netherlands coming up, and I am going to be placing another bet on this game. It's going to be happening on early Friday morning, and I don't think the Netherlands has necessarily been challenged outright. They tied Brazil, but their other two wins they coasted to against not strong teams. So I think the United States is going to challenge them. I think they need a win to get some good seeding in the next knockout stages. So plus 140, the United States is going to come off of this tie against Australia that they just had, and they're going to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what the U.S. women are gonna do. So I'll take your word, Higgins, because I'm not gonna pretend to handicap something that I have not watched a literal second of. That would be irresponsible of me.
Well, hey, living on the West Coast, I did get to watch the last game of the women playing against Australia. There was a goal that America had in the first half. It did get negated, though, unfortunately, but Alex Morgan still looks plenty fast. The United States team looked in control in there. I think they'll be able to play against the Netherlands, who hasn't necessarily had the strongest group play, and we'll see how it goes. Another Olympic sport that I have my eye on, though, Brett, is going to be the golf. It has already started. It's going on as we are recording right now, as I had mentioned. And I have those three bets of Matsuyama at plus 1,600, Siwoo Kim at plus 7,000, and Sung J M at plus 4,000. And Brett, I'll say it though, just looking at this early on, this is going to be very similar to what we saw at Rio, if not stronger. I mean, Sepp Straka's at 8 under now through 16, from what I'm looking at. The Rio Olympics winner was 16 under. That was Justin Thomas. We might see a winner in the 20s. I wouldn't be surprised to see this course just get absolutely tossed around a little bit unless there are some tricky pin spots that I'm not seeing. But this is going to be interesting. So it's going to take some hot starts on this first round for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a major, Higgins. This is a very nice course, I'm sure, in Tokyo. I don't know how many professional events this course holds on the regular basis, but yeah, I would expect low scores. I think that's a great call.
By the way, I misspoke. I said Justin Thomas. Justin Rose is the defending champion from the 2016 Olympics. It is a far course at 7,400. I mean, for us, that's a far course. Is it a far course for them? We'll see how it plays. But before we get out of the Olympics, the other bet that I do have that's going to occur before our next episode recording on Sunday night is the United States men's 100-meter dash finals. I'm betting that all three medals go to an American. I took an Oregon Sportsbook special at plus 900. We'll see how that goes. I'm enjoying the Olympics, Brett. It's probably a little bit tougher for you on the East Coast to enjoy with how different the time zones are, right?
I could probably consume it if I wanted to, Higgins. I guess my interest level just has not been there, to be honest.
Okay, well, maybe as the basketball heats up, maybe we'll be peeking back around. But let's jump into our money line magic, Brett. Talk about a baseball game that happened on Wednesday. And this is a football score, to be honest, 17-4. But we're not going to tell you who wins. We're going to talk about the action, and let's just jump right into it, right, Brett?
Yeah, Higgins, you mentioned it. A game between Minnesota and Detroit ending 17-14. You would absolutely think the teams playing were the Vikings and the Lions, but it was the Twins and the Tigers. Two of the bottom feeders in baseball managed to put up over 30 runs, Higgins. But the Twins become the first team in MLB history, Higgins, to hit 7 more home runs than their opponent and lose a baseball game. Could you imagine having that record attached to your name?
That's a tough record. That's a tough record. But to be honest, 7 home runs, that's a pitcher's bad day. Every pitcher seemed to be having a bad day, though, Brett, because all 31 of these runs were earned. There was only one error in the game, and it didn't affect the score somehow. All 31 of these runs were earned. That hurts.
That's a great stat. Ryan Jeffers of the Twins homers twice in this one. Higgins drives in 6 runs in the losing effort. Eric Hayes, Heimer Candelario, each driving 3 for the Tigers, leading the Tigers in RBIs, but no home runs for Detroit. 7 for Minnesota. That's the big story, I think, Higgins. You out hit your opponent by 7 home runs. And not only do you lose the game, you lose the game by 3.
Whew. Yeah, Detroit scored 2 and then 8 in the second and the fourth inning. But Minnesota, 6 in the fourth, 6 in the eighth, and 2 in the ninth to come back and take the win because Detroit had scored 4 in the top of the ninth, had the lead late. Minnesota was able to come back and score the necessary runs in the bottom of the ninth, though. Absolutely spectacular. This is a game that took place, like, this was an early daytime game, and this amount of scoring, it was a long one, Brett.
Yeah, it was definitely a long game.
Four
Lots of
hours.
runs.
Four
Well, I
hours.
mean, you just had to watch the people run the bases for 4 hours, Higgins. I bet the amount of steps taken in this game doubled the normal amount of steps taken in a baseball game.
This was a local time noon game. You leave the stadium at 4 if you stayed to the very end. by the time you're getting out, getting onto the highway, you're in rush hour traffic with everyone else that's leaving work. That is awful, Brett. That is awful.
Well, a great win for the Tigers. So hopefully you're a Tigers fan sitting in that rush hour traffic.
Hopefully, hopefully. Let's jump into our MLB. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with the flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast, The Next Best Bet, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo part of the application. Now, Brett, jumping into the MLB, we have plenty of lines out already for Thursday's games. And I'm going to start off with a parlay that I like between two teams that are rather heavy favorites. We have the Chicago White Sox at the Kansas City Royals. They're wrapping up a series. And we have the Milwaukee Brewers at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, both of these series have been interesting. I'm going to be taking the Brewers, though, who have Freddie Peralta on the mound, who's been spectacular, 7-3, an ERA under 2.5, and I'm going to take the Brewers money line and combine it with the White Sox money line, and that's going to get me at plus 150. Both these guys are heavy favorites, around minus 180, so I'm going to be putting them together, getting a plus 150 value on two teams that I truly believe should be winning this, especially when you see the White Sox also have Rodon on their mound, who is having arguably just as good of a year as Lance Lynn. It's hard to tell who the best pitcher for that White Sox franchise is this season.
Yeah, the Brewers game will be interesting. I'll be excited to see if they have Eduardo Escobar in the lineup. He was acquired Wednesday night by Milwaukee. So definitely two good games to watch, Higgins. Um, as for what I'm betting on, I'm going to start off with the Braves Mets game. Drew Smiley versus Taiwan Walker is what I'm seeing right now. Mets minus 130 on the money line. That's within my range, Higgins. And I'm going to back my team. I'm going to take the Mets minus 130. I think we need a win. I think we got our all star on the mound. So good spot for the Mets. I'm definitely betting a little with my heart here, though.
All right, we'll see how the pick goes, Brett, with the All-Star Walker on the mound. Last episode, you backed the Mets too with Stroman on the mound, and he failed it for you, so I hope Walker can pull through. Let's talk about a game, though, that you and I both have some skin in. And that's going to be this West Coast matchup that's been really exciting so far this year. The Dodgers and the Giants. It's great when there's this California rivalry picking back up some heat. And we got David Price and Johnny Cueto on the mound. And honestly, Brett, I'm not too confident in either of their abilities this late in their career to shut down these powerful lineups that have been stroking the bat so well and hitting the ball really strongly this year. So I'm taking over 8.5 at minus 115. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that get to 9 or 9.5 by Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. So I'm jumping on that now while it's at 8.5.
Yeah, over is a good play. I'm taking the division leaders at plus 110. Kind of similar thought process that here, Higgins. I'm not really sure it's going to come down to the starters, might come down to the bullpens. At that point, it's anyone's game. I'm just done not believing in the San Francisco Giants, Higgins. So I'm going to start believing at plus 110.
I mean, they did get the first win in this series 2-1. That was on Tuesday. They're playing on Wednesday night as we are recording as well, Brett. The Dodgers have a 3-0 lead in the third, though, so we'll see how that goes. One last MLB game I want to talk about is the Baltimore Orioles and the Detroit Tigers. And we just talked about it. There was an exhausting game between the Minnesota Twins and the Detroit Tigers on Wednesday, 17-4, but it was a semi early game that got wrapped up at 4 p.m. local time. So they should be landing in Detroit to host Baltimore now, get home, get a normal night's rest in their own beds, and they got their young star Casey Mize on the mound. So I'm backing Detroit at minus 1.5, especially when you look at the team's run lines over the course of the year against the run line. Detroit is the fourth best team in the MLB right now at 55-8. Meanwhile, Baltimore is the fourth worst in the MLB at 44-55. They're just starting off a series right now. Detroit's bats were plenty hot today. Can't see why they can't carry that over into their home park and do it again and get a win for their home team. -1.5 at +120. I'm going to be taking that positive value.
All right, Higgins. And then I'm going to find myself on the Athletics and the Angels. The Oakland A's made a shocking move on Wednesday, picking up Starling Marte from Miami. Also trading Jesus Luzardo in that deal, which was a big deal because he's a promising young pitcher. I guess now for the Marlins. But they're renting Marte. They could re sign him. I think it's a big move for the Athletics, who are clearly going for it this year, or at least going, to try and make the playoffs. Oakland's +100 tomorrow. The Angels have yet to make a move. Still no Trout in the lineup. I haven't said Anthony Rendon's name since the World Series with the Nationals. So I'm taking Oakland +100, Higgins.
I mean, you look at that AL West, if the Astros do end up pulling away, maybe the Athletics can try to challenge them or secure a wild card spot. Could be very interesting. Seattle's trying to hang around in that West as well. Maybe they can all try to keep that West competitive. But Brett, you brought up the trade deadline with that traded with Marte. It's time again we mentioned it. We've been saying it the past few episodes. Wait till the lineups are announced before you place your bets, people. We're giving out these picks while we see value early, but it's important to maybe be betting while those lineups are finalized in case there are some trades. I mean, we heard rumors about Max Scherzer on Wednesday about maybe there even being a trade done for him before the end of the night. He wasn't scheduled to pitch per se, but if he's to go somewhere, who's to say the pieces that are involved? A lot of the NL West teams were mentioned in those trades, for example. Who knows who else gets moved? Who knows uh, what ends up happening these next few days? Friday is the deadline, though, so it's going to be a scramble these next 48 hours, I'm sure, right, Brett?
Yeah, Higgins. I mean, the Nationals didn't even play due to 12 positive COVID tests. So I'm sure more news will come on that on Thursday. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff can happen at the deadline. So you never know with these lineups. But Higgins, let's hop over to the Levy Lock pick of the pod, where you've been hot and I've been cold as ice. So clearly you have the honors.
We're going to keep it on the West Coast. The game that you and I are both on, I'm taking the over in the Dodgers Giants game. I see it at 8.5 at -115. I have a feeling that might jump up to 9 or even 9.5 by the time that game starts tomorrow, or sorry, on Thursday at 12:45 local time. But we got David Price and Johnny Cueto on the mound with two powerful lineups. Neither of these guys are the shutdown pitchers that they were at the beginnings of their careers when they each were able to have strong presences. And these lineups, it's hard to get 3 outs in a row without allowing a few base runners, and they are fast, they are quick, and they can put runs on the board. 8.5 just feels too low to me.
All right, sounds good. Makes a lot of sense. I'm going back to the Oakland Angels game because Frankie Montas is on the mound for the Athletics. He's okay, but Alex Cobb expected to make a start for the Angels. He's been injured. It's going to be his first start back potentially. It could potentially be a late scratch Higgins, and they might have to do a bullpen game or a spot starter. Who knows what's going to happen for the Angels, but I'm not trusting it. So give me Oakland at +100.
All right, love the value. Getting the same amount of your stake back, that's always great trying to win a full unit. Make sure to follow us on social media as well. Been giving out some picks there, especially with the Olympics going on. That's at MBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been episode 154 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you again after the weekend.